What's going on, everybody? Happy, what is this, Saturday? Great to catch up with you all. We have a little bit of homework to catch up on with GameStop. So the goal for the session today is I want to go through the latest performance, because I don't even know if I did an update video this past week. There's a kind of a handful of other stuff that was going on. So I thought we would do that, take a look through GameStop together, just get caught up. Then I want to continue going through the cat's old trades. I think we have a handful of those left to go. Specifically just the unwind. I want to see what that looks like. And then after that, I actually want to start collecting some of like the primary GameStop theories or due diligence, the popular stuff that you all have come across, so that one, I can learn a little bit more about it, but then two, so that we can start actually testing some ideas, because that's kind of the idea behind a lot of this, is to see. One of my greatest interests with GameStop, it comes down to like three primary factors. The first factor is the anomalous behavior of the equity itself as an equity, meaning the way that it moves, as you even from this chart, is genuinely not normal, and that's interesting to me. Then there are the characters that are involved, one of which we're spending a lot of time learning about now is the cat, Roaring Kitty. His modality is very different than what I was originally expecting. I have to be completely honest. And even from the very first thing that we looked at together, scrolling back through all of his old trades, one of the very first things that I learned is that he actually started trading GameStop with options. I genuinely did not know that. Based on the conversations I've had with Newton and just back and forth through the community, nobody said that he didn't do that. But my general assumption is that he was a stock trader that kind of, found his way into options, I thought, much later. Little did I know the very first part of this YOLO update was a portfolio full of options. Very interesting to me. So there's a lot of really interesting elements about his approach and some of the fingerprints we can pull up from him, one of which is I was very, very interested to see if there was any clear indication that there's like this supreme timing mechanism that's happening on the back end. Very interested in that, because a lot of people have started ascending Roaring Kitty up to like near God status. And again, I'm in awe of him as a trader, genuinely. This not throwing any shade. I'm genuinely a big fan. But I also don't see this like premier timing stuff yet, which is very interesting to me, because it actually makes me like him even more and what he does even more. Because what it tells me, at least from what I've seen so far, is that he doesn't have like this secret playbook that he's hoarding for himself and, just trading off of that. It looks like he's trading off of information that's generally accessible to everybody. And the way that he's able to make positions, and very specifically his risk tolerance, really allows an entirely different kind of outcome potential. Because that is one of the main things I've taken away so far, is that his risk tolerance as we go through his trades, it's immense. Like it's literally immense. There's no other way to frame risk tolerance like this, where you see the value of the portfolio, expanding by 500%, then getting cut in half, he's had multiple instances of 50% plus drawdowns, which is, again, it takes a certain amount of stomach to be able to do that multiple times, especially after being up massive amounts of money. Like, you have to imagine a lot of people, once you get up to like this 1.5 million, a lot of people become hyper conservative. They think they've made it. And then he rolls it and he ends up, a week later down 8%, then Another week later, up 64%. So now he's sitting on like 2.5 million. And then fast forward a little more time and he's back down to 1.3 million, which is essentially pre this point. So like seeing that kind of portfolio volatility is wild to me. Absolutely wild to me. And he's done it time and time and again, right? So the fact that he's had a 49% drawdown here, 63% drawdown in the beginning is kind of whatever, but this is interesting to me because like his story almost ended before it even started, which is very noteworthy, I think. Again, this goes back into some of the reality that if the cards had been dealt slightly differently, this could have ended very differently. And that's always, I don't like those kind of hypotheticals, right? Because it's like people say that in fighting all the time and like, martial arts. They'll be like, well, if he didn't do this, then this wouldn't have happened. And it's like, yes, but he did do this. So that did happen, right? I don't like discounting those things. But when we look at the path of returns here, if there happened to have been an unhappy path in the returns up here, then who knows if you would have poured it over another $100,000 and gave it another go. My guess is he probably would have put some more money in, but who knows? So I'm just blown away by watching the way that this dude has been able to move through this ticker, what the ticker has done, and the relationship with it. So I am, as you could tell, I love looking at this stuff. And then the third thing, though, that interests me about all of this stuff is from a macro market perspective. I still continue to find a lot of elements that make me uncomfortable or unhappy with respect to the way that just orders are routed. The payment for order flow system we've already known is good but bad at the same time. Seeing these conflicts of interests of market makers and hedge funds, like all those kinds of things really get pulled out pretty significantly when we analyze something like GameStop. So I really enjoy taking a look at it literally from all three of those lenses. So let me grab the chat. And we have a light crowd tonight. I've kind of noticed that even in general, it seems like the GME community has been a little more quiet as of late. My best guess is that's just because GameStop itself has been moving around a little bit more slowly. But I'm wondering from your all's perspective, especially those that have been around for a while, is that kind of how it goes? The reason why I say that is just because I notice across like the GME community, I'm talking with Newton about it, and it does seem like when GameStop starts getting more quiet, the community tends to quiet down, and then it starts to pipe back up when things move around. I haven't seen a bunch of these ebbs and flows. Okay, so Jimmy says a lot of us are tired. Yeah. So Roaring Titty, what up, Roaring Titty? Shout out to you. Roaring Titty says GME community is traumatized and tired. Can you guys talk a little bit more about the tired thing? It doesn't surprise me. I think I know what you mean, but I just want to seek clarity. What I'm guessing is from people essentially like full porting into GameStop and then it, slowly trailing down or not moving around a whole lot. That's my best guess. But I'd love to hear the actual reasons. Vladimir says, don't forget that under oath, Keith testified before Congress, I like the stock. This is fact. Why would his patience be... Oh, I see. This is fact. Why would his patience be surprising? The reason why the patience would be surprising, and again, this goes back to the other component, is whether or not you like the stock, that's part of the equation. But there's a lot of people who like the stock, probably people who like the stock even more than him, that wouldn't go this route. There's a lot of people who like the stock more than him that probably wouldn't have multiple 50% drawdowns plus while being in the stock. So that's why the patience is surprising to me, because a lot of what he does from a trading perspective largely differs from the playbook of like rational trader behavior. But again, this goes back into the broader point that this is, you could tell like this was a YOLO, and he labeled it as such and he traded it as such. So I think the reason why he's able to do this and deal with this kind of portfolio volatility is because this isn't his entire portfolio. I don't believe. I think there's a little bit more to it. SM says, seems like a lot of false alarms. Okay. When you say false alarms, is that people doing like the date calling thing? I've never fully understood that yet. But is that what you mean by false alarms? Roaring Titty says, a lot of people got really wrecked when Robinhood took away the buy button. I don't understand that, to be honest. I don't understand how Robinhood taking the buy button away and other brokerages taking the buy button away like wrecked people. Because you can still sell. You can still get out. So I understand that that means that the stock didn't keep going up parabolically. But that goes back to the thing that I've talked with Newton about, and I've also talked with Peruvian Bull about, where this is why I don't fully understand the angle sometimes, because Roaring Titty says a lot of brokers went down, retail couldn't do anything for a time. Is that accurate? Like they couldn't sell either? Because that actually would be very surprising to me. Now, if it was frozen, limit up, limit down, then yeah, you'd have to catch it outside of the lock periods. But from what I saw, there was still order flow happening. Yeah, I get, yeah. Jimmy says it made people lose faith in retail trading. I think that, I don't know. It surprises me so much. The reason why it surprises me so much is because I don't understand how anybody in their rational mind would expect any stock, not GameStop, but any stock to go up into essentially to a point where it could collapse the financial system. I'm not saying that the conditions being set leading to that is a possible outcome are rational. They're not, right? That's from a bunch of bullshit. Completely agree. No debate. But I think it's interesting to me when something that clearly hasn't had a big change in fundamental value goes up over, to over $400 for multiple days, and then to just kind of sit there and hold it, right? Because if I'm not mistaken, it hung up in like the multiple hundreds for a few days. Let me make sure I'm not way off base. Does TradingView do like pre-adjusted split basis or whatever? It doesn't look like it. It looks like it does split adjusted, yeah, because it was over 400 back here. Lauren says the fact that a stock going up could wreck the financial system is a little problem in my opinion. It's a huge problem. The fact that that's a thing and the fact that that was the case here is insane. And this is literally one of the shining examples of broad manipulation, like 100% broad manipulation. And the fact that this was at such a severe range is crazy to me, that it was even allowed to be like, how can something be multiple hundreds percent short? There's only so many fucking shares. So like that stuff is so frustrating. And I completely agree with like those components. But again, it's so important to decouple frustrations, preferences, what we wish reality was from what reality is. And the fact that this shouldn't have been multiple 100% shorted and even in a position to be able to go up to 400 plus. That can only happen from a systemic manipulation that's being caught and unwound. So love that, because I would love for those people to get wrecked. But to still, again, from the practical side of things, to not exit your position on the 27th, the 28th, the 29th, the 1st. Like, that's a solid 4-day window to GTFO. Take profits and then wait for another run to get back in. So that's just the part that I don't understand. Like, I get that this movement didn't materialize as far as it theoretically could have. We know that for sure. But we also know, again, pretty reasonably, that we're not going to allow the financial system to collapse because of this issue. Again, we have to partition these things, because in my opinion, if there's the intervention to prevent the collapse, then those who are systemically on the wrong side of this trade, they should go out of fucking business and they should have to pay. Like, I literally think they should go bankrupt. But that's like another part of the broader partitioning mentality that I go through. But like, if this goes into total financial collapse, then nobody makes money anyways. The stock market collapsed. So it's like, I don't understand the broader expectation there. It's as you can tell, from a trading perspective, it baffles me. But from a systematic perspective, it shows that we have massive problems, and they're still here. That's the other frustrating part about this, is that I am also in the camp that I don't really think that everybody's unwound that should have unwound. That's what I think. Roaring Titty says they changed the rule when retail starts to fuck up their money, which is largely profiting off of us. In this case, I agree with you. Fully agree with you. Again, I think that this is a prime example of a problem, of literally a big problem. So yeah, I completely agree with that. Magnum says, those investing click the buy sell, blaming the buy button off is like blaming a gun during a shooting incident. Yeah, it is kind of like that, I think. The main thing is, again, I don't think anybody has a good argument that the buy button being turned off hurt them, is all. It can frustrate them. We could have thought something should have gone further. Like, all of those are completely viable points. But there was plenty of time to unwind here. Like, plenty of time to get out. I traded multiple movements on these, because again, like, even though I wasn't as involved in GameStop as I am now, I've been trading a long time, and I was trading this. So yeah, like, you could still move around in here. Viz Design says, GME to 4 figures in your opinion? Not through a squeeze, I don't believe. I don't believe that it'll be permitted to run in a gamma squeeze 4 figures plus. I think that if it somehow changes as a fundamental business, and we're talking like 35 years down the road, sure, I think it could do that. I think it could do that if it really starts to grow as an effective, efficient business. But I don't think that, again, I don't think the market is going to permit a squeeze to that degree. It's so disruptive for the rest of the financial system, I think. Roaring Titty says it was demoralizing regardless of selling. There are diehards that won't ever sell. I get that. Yeah, I get that. Roaring Titty says, why not HKD went to 2,500? I'm not saying it couldn't. Again, they just asked my opinion if I think it's going to. The reason why I don't think it's going to is because there's so much new float that's been injected into the system, and the market cap is now growing with how much cash they have. It starts to become more difficult for that kind of manipulation to occur and then to be squeezed out like that. I think one of the big things the ape community had going for a long time was having a pretty significant amount of the float locked. But with the recent offerings, it's going to take a hot minute for retail to slowly attempt to scoop up the new float and DRS it and lock that. And it's a pretty long process. So genuinely, it is completely possible. I just don't think it's likely, to answer their question more specifically. So, yeah. Lon Swayze says, at this point, I'm wondering how many shares traded each day are just created liquidity no matter which stock, which is a fair question. That's a really fair question. And I think it's one that most people, especially now, we have we literally have a fucking right to ask stuff like that. Because again, the manipulation is very clear. Like you can see it. And it's literally out in broad daylight. That's actually why I'm really, really stoked. I don't know if any of you guys saw, but I had my boy Lauer on the podcast not too long ago talking about the Fed manipulation, GameStop, that kind of stuff. And I'm actually really, really stoked with what they're doing. And the reason why I'm stoked with what they're doing is because they're actually starting to try and make a fight out of this. And that makes me super happy. And it makes me happy because nobody else is really doing it at the level that they are. And it takes a lot of time and effort to do this kind of thing, which is, kind of how it goes. So, yeah, I think we have clear elements of manipulation. We can see it. It's there. But again, there's a reality to things. That Lawrence says, I'd be curious to hear updates on how that's going. It's just starting. So I don't think that there's really going to be any big updates for a little bit. The litigation process is going to take a long time. And that's one of the ways that the government weasels its way out of being pinned down by litigation, is because since the government essentially has unlimited budget to fight these kinds of things, it's not technically true, but it's kind of practically true. So it lets them, it lets them draw things out, because for people that are hiring counsel to pursue something, that all costs money, and it costs money over time. So yeah, one of the tactics that you'll find from government entities is to specifically move very slow. And again, like it or not, it's fucking smart. It's really smart, because they're essentially just waiting people out. Cactus Jack says, did you ever see the interview with IB Petterfee? I'd like to point out that we have come dangerously close to the collapse of the entire system. Yeah, definitely. That's exactly one of the main things that I'm actually referencing when talking about this stuff. Is he saw exactly what most of us can see, which is that there is a huge, huge, huge problem here.
How close we were to this system breaking, something failing. How close were we, Thomas?
We were frighteningly close on January 28th, when we had 50 million registered shares. At the same time, we had 70 million shares short, and 150 million shares short via short call options. So if
love some short calls, eh? Yeah, no, and like you said, frighteningly close. So yeah, we were on the cusp. Absolutely on the cusp. All right, cool. So let's take a look at, well, first, do we have any updates to our 8 map? We have less people here now, so I'm concerned that the likelihood of us filling out via Madagascar or Reunion or Mauritius, that one's also viable. What's this one? Heard Island and McDonald Islands. Oh, there's 2 of them. Is that Heard Island, this one? A lot of names. All right, looks like our map is up to date to my chagrin. Let's take a little bit of a look at GameStop, where we sit today. So we see a few things going on right now at high level. As we can tell, I haven't redrawn anything on this for some time now, and we're very, very range bound. And it looks like perceived nominal value at this point is like mid 20s. And that's just because this is kind of like a new floor that it's been moving around within for some time now. So it's very likely where this thing is starting to be accepted as a price level. Now, I find a couple things interesting, one of which is if you take a look at the move of volatility, it is collapsing. So if I move this out to a year, you can see obviously where we had that bit of a spike back in May, absolutely skyrocketed short-term vol, and it started sending 30-day vol very high. And then essentially from those points, they've been steadily contracting with a couple bumps along the way, but still very much a declining line here. And volatility is just being pulled more and more out of here. So that's one of the biggest things that I see going on with GameStop is the volatility has been contracting massively. If we take a look at the movements in both average true range, average day range, both of those are coming down massively. So if you look at the 90-day average day range, 5.29%. Now it's at 2.88, almost half. So across the board, it just tells us things are quieting down. Again, I don't think that's any shock to anybody, but I think it's at least worthwhile as a general data point. So taking a look at the options chain itself, it has also gotten very quiet. So there's still a 2-to-1 relationship between puts and calls, but overall volume is very, very light. And most of the OI at this point is actually out in 17 Jan 25. So we're not seeing a bunch of these really near-term style options being thrown around anymore. Whereas before, the front expirations used to be really, really, really heavy. And that's just not what we're seeing now. Because you can even see after the 17 Jan expiration cycle, the next largest on the call side, at least, is 15 Nov. So we're not seeing the same centralization in like the 1 Nov expiration cycle, the 8 Nov so far. So, yeah. Vladimir says GME didn't close 22 or even once. Mid 20s are a far way off. Yeah, sorry. What I meant by that is like mid 20s, like mid 20s, not mid 20 handle, but mid $20, 50 cents, $20, 60 cents. That's what I meant there. So, but back to the options, volatility is super low. So volatility has collapsed pretty massively. It's not even, we don't even have anything over 100 now. The next largest is an 8 Nov at 92% vol. And IV percentile, this uses IV rank, but IV percentile is 13%. IV rank is 5 3/4. So vol across the board, just siphoned out, very, very low. Let's take a quick look and see if there was anything that came through from an interesting order flow perspective. I didn't see much that caught my eye, but we'll take a peek. DJT, on the other hand, has been crazy. And let's look at last 7 days. So, I mean, there's a little bit going on, but not a ton. And a lot of these are still a little bit on the smaller side as per like what we've seen when things start getting really, really active. So that's what I'm seeing at a high level. As always, if there's anything in particular that you guys want to take a peek at, let me know. But otherwise, we can pivot over to the cat's last series of trades and see if we can't pick up anything from there. Anything that you guys came across? Was there any interesting like DD that's popped up or anything like that? Sava. I'm not going to look at Sava yet. Maybe we'll take a look towards the end, but I like keeping this more GameStop focused. So I'm going to stick on this. YOLO tweet. Oh yeah, let's see. Looking for... Why is Cohen's account so hard to find? Wait, YOLO tweet by who? Oh, okay, he got rid of it. I saw this. That was hilarious. He just seems to like to bother people because he knows that this will piss some people off. What are the comments to this? There it is. What the fuck? Let's see what the letter work looks like. It looks good so far. This looks like a solid tattoo. That's a good artist. The problem with red, though, is the red won't last. That's the downside. The red starts to fade in. I have a little bit of red on this one. It's still good, but it's faded in. This one had some white on it that is like essentially completely gone. Wow, okay. Dude, the comments in this are fucking crazy. Okay. Okay. I think we're good. That's entertaining enough. All right, so let's see where we had left off here. All right. So we had saw those series of trades leading into this that looked like he was kind of like testing positions. And then I don't remember, it's been a while now, what we thought the exit. Roaring Titty says it's funny. His tweet was about Trump, but all everyone saw were tits. Oh, you know, see, like that's the kind of thing that you know. Like what I mean is, you know, Ryan Cohen specifically did that. You know that. And again, the reason why I know that is because he makes it obvious enough that you can pick it up, right? It's not like this insanely deep message that takes people years to figure out. It's pretty superficial, pretty easy to pick up. So I like, if you look at the stuff that he tweets, he's just a troll. He just likes to fuck around. And I've seen that. And that's, again, from that same interview that we've watched a few times. I think we can see that there as well, where the dude just likes to fuck around. He likes to troll, which is hilarious to me. I enjoy it. I'm a big fan. So for the Cats trades here. Wait, where did we, is this all the way caught up? 13 June. Okay, so we got through all of it. And for the exit here, I think that there was a lot of debate whether or not he exercised or not. I don't remember what the ending solution was. Vampirita says we're caught up. 7 Nov hype date from Newton. Well, I mean, I definitely hope that works. I don't do the whole hype date thing. But maybe. Yeah, so let's see what happened in here. $567.54.20. So basis would be what? 25? 25.67? Vampiritus says you put in the data but didn't analyze the June ones. There we go. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, let's do that. So we know that these went on between 10 and... No, that's a lie. That's a big, bold-faced lie. We know that they went on between... Oh, I forgot. We don't know when they went on. All right. Let's figure that out. Let's get to the bottom of that. So sometime between 16 April and 2 June 24. That's not super useful, but prior to 2 June. And I think we'll see them pretty easily, because if I'm not mistaken, it's somewhere around May where most of these happened. So let's go to all of May. I'm going to get rid of the puts. Yeah. So these look like him. What is this 10? Okay. So first thing I'm going to do is just try to isolate the by 5,000 order blocks. I'm not going to use the bid, mid, or ask. I'm literally just going to count all of the 5,000 order blocks. And so we need size to be minimum 5,000. And I mean, we could just do some counting. 1, 2. These don't count. Damn it. I'm going to do the 20s as well. SM says, what does the cat do all day long? Probably hangs out with his family and looks at the markets like I do. A lot of us that are full-time traders do the same bit. 1, 2, 3. So there's 25 total. which gets us to 125. Thought he had 120. I wonder if he sold one of them. Let's go through all these because this does generally look like it's all him. And we'll sort this by time. And we'll start here. Time is 12:49. 16. Not worried about GME. I'm going to move this to the end. Okay. I'm an idiot. I did the wrong thing. Cool. Well, yeah, what is the Dorito thing? I've heard people talk about this Dorito thing quite a lot, and I don't know what it is. And there was what, 25 of these? So 2. Oh shit. May. Well, 5007. 2.3. And this is in millions. To keep it the same as the others. Actually, no, I'll just do it here. 2.3, 2.42. 21 May. $11.59.45. These are standard time frames for bigger trades. This is where you get slightly better liquidity. So a lot of the trading that I do is in the last trading hour of the day. $2.5, 2.48, 2.75, 2.88. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of these. So my dinner is about to get here super early. So I think we have like another 20 minutes or so. 0, 8, 52, 37, 0, 9, 04, 54, 0, 9, 18, 58, 0, 9, 56, 43, 10, 26, 36, 11, 15, 53, 11, 28, 29, 11, 32, 33, 11, 38, 49, 12, 03, 45, 12, 52, 09. And 2.5, 2.5, 2.7, 2.93, 2.9, 3.1, 3.13, 3.35, 3.53, 3.38. Okay. 24 May or 1109 49 11 49 39 1.68 1.75 28 May 28 May 9 21 28 12 40 26 4.13 3.2 29 May this one's at the bid, so is one down there. Interesting. 0753 39 2.75 30 May and 31 May 12 59 39 12 54 44 2.6 2.8. So one of these I don't think is him because there's an extra one. So the total here is 69.36. His cost, I guess I could have used is 65.7. So it's very close. Trying to see if any of these are like clearly not it. Where's this 4.13? I think I messed that one up. Oh no, it's not 4.1. So I'm not really super concerned about like where the 5,000 is or where the extra 5 is. I mean, there's a couple that look slightly different to me, but it doesn't actually matter quite that much. I'm getting hit up by my DoorDash. They said that we got like a half hour, so we got plenty of time. So the 21st, 2 trades. 4 trades. This was 12, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1. This clearly follows his pattern, right? Like this is the process of fingerprinting. You can pretty clearly start to figure out people's tendencies and behaviors. And one of them that I can clearly see is he starts early with a couple small stuff. Like this is the other version that we looked at a while ago. This one is that middle version that we kind of tested. We were sort of curious about what we think might be him, but not sure. So this is just confirming that what we just did here. That's what this is up here. But he's done this multiple times where we see him scaling in small and then building into the position. And then this one we missed. I don't know which one we left off of here. How many are in this one? So we have that 2, 3, 2. So 21 May is where we left it out of this version. But I think this one was closer to netting out. So we know what the residual basis was here for the position. We did all that stuff. So let's take a look. I want to specifically funnel on the unwind. So between 10 and 13 June. So the first thing we can easily do is just go between 10 and 14 June. So I don't see size here that would indicate, I don't see size here that would indicate him exiting by selling. My hunch, Vladimir says, but depending on volume, couldn't limit orders be broken into smaller blocks? That happens to me. Yeah, they can be, but you can still aggregate them together. So a lot of times, depending on what we're looking at, you'll actually see that with those little stacked figure that'll be in between these. It's like a little stacked icon. That's pulling together multiple trades that then that are aggregated up, but they were individual positions. Because my instinct here would be that he would have sold. I don't see them here, but that's still my guess is that he would have sold. And the reason for that is because he still had enough time on these options. Well, I mean, he definitely sold some of them. We know he did. And the reason why we know he did is because he didn't take on the full share allocation. So not so sure why that should be in here. I actually don't know why it's not here at all, but it should be. Let's do minimum size like 1,000. Yeah, I mean, that's nowhere near enough. And this still is nowhere near enough. I have no explanation for that. Other than I just don't trust the data that's here is the explanation I have. The reason for that is Roaring Titty says I don't think he sold. But I mean, like we absolutely know he sold at least some of it, right? So the way that we know with certainty that he sold some of it is because if you do the math, that's 120,000 calls times 100, which would be I'm going to show you on the calculator just so that you can see exactly. Well, I thought the calculator would rotate. Calculator's breaking my balls right now. It's over 1 million shares. Yeah. So 120,000 options here. Again, you have to move the decimal place over twice. So he would be adding another 12 million shares. And he doesn't do that, right? Like I can clearly see he doesn't do that. Because if we go to this, he's only adding what? 4 million 1,000 or whatever it was? 4 million 2,000? Oh no, this was the stock split from before. So the tricky part about this is I know for a fact, again, based on this, I can conclusively conclude that between 11, 12, and 13 June, that there should be at the very least most of this being sold. Because if we take the hypothetical that he did exercise, if we take that hypothetical, I can tell you he didn't exercise all of it. And because he doesn't even have enough cash in the account to take all of it. The other component here is he had access to 12 million and he took on 4 million 1,000. So we've done this before, but we can take a look at what the basis of that is. So then we have, what is this? 10 June 24. And then we have 13 June. And then we have 5 million at 21,274. $21,274. And then we have 9.1 or 9.001 at 23,4135. 23,4135. 23,4135. And then now this is 9,001. I literally think I just copied the math. Oh no, I can't. I'm getting caught up on the chat. Vladimir says the vol on those calls was 141K on 12 and 13 combined. That would sound right to me. Yeah, and I would expect the exit to occur over that time frame. The tricky part is I'm struggling to see where the exits actually happened, because there's no way that he would have been exiting in sub $500 lots, right? Like there's just no way. So I don't understand. Yeah, I just don't understand. So this, yeah, why would it would be so difficult to unwind that whole position in like 200 lot, 100 lot elements. Like I just don't see it. Equals this minus this divided by this 2609, which again, I think we've seen all these numbers before. So on his options, his basis would have been, what do we have? It was 565. His basis would have been 567.54. So the option was 567.54, and they were the 20s. So the basis, if he exercised, would be this plus this. 25,674 is what his effective basis would be. So this doesn't exactly line up, not massively far apart, so it would be really difficult. Magnum says maybe he sold and exercised. Market maker internalized trade again while sitting around his cost basis. No, because he wouldn't have the market maker out of like the market maker, they can't change this. Right? They can internalize the order so it doesn't hit the tape, but the value of it is still going to be at market value at that time. So the market maker, if he exercised, this is what the cost of the exercise, this is what the basis would have been at, the delta basis, which isn't here. Off Putin says, remember that on 12 June, GME shares declined 16.5% on the day he got out. I think that's a different factor, because him exiting his options trade there wouldn't make that kind of difference. And it wasn't the, oh, okay, you said the 12th. Well, no, it wasn't the 12th. Because the 12th was Saturday. Did you mean the 11th? Off Putin? No, off Putin, I'm not saying exercising. I'm not talking about whether, well, it can be reflected in volume depending on where the shares are sourced from. But that's not, yeah, that's not what I'm referring to anyways. I'm confused now. Royntity says, what was his cost basis? Yeah, so his actual cost basis based on the variance between these two, the 10 June update and the 13 June update, his basis would have been 2609 on what he added. Now, again, this is on average. There is a world, and again, like this can be the case. There is a world where he could have exercised a very small amount of his options and then bought the rest on the market to create an average basis of 2609. Off Putin says June 12 was Tuesday, not Saturday. What? Am I in the wrong month? Oh, wait. Vampirita says bingo. I don't think it's bingo because there's another reason why I don't think he did that. Oh, I'm in 21. I was like, what the fuck is going on with this calendar? I'm same page as you now. Off Putin. Sorry about that. I was like, are we like missing days on this count? I'm so suspect of data now after doing a lot of this stuff. Okay, so you said 12 June here, which is Wednesday. So you still fucking lied to me, but we're still closer. 12 June is Wednesday. Royntity says that says 2568. Closing price of GME on 12 June was 2546. No, so this shows if he exercised. So if he exercised, this is what his basis, that's what this number here should be if he exercised. This represents the variance between the added cost and the added shares. Not the variance. It represents the variance between these two posts. What was on 10 June, what was on 13 June, the delta between these. So the change in his cost basis from 21,274 to 23,4135, and by adding 4,001,000 shares, this is what his basis would be. Lon Swayze says, does that include fees? Fees don't come part of the basis. So fees are assessed as a separate line item. That's why on brokerage platforms, it'll actually show you like total commissions and fees as a line item. So this is all encompassing whatever the platform tracks. So Magnum says, didn't he have 20 options that he got dirt cheap premium and could exercise? It's not so much about the premium being cheap. He still would have left a massive amount of time value left in the options. So we can take a look at an example of this together. Let's go to 11 June. Here. (24) June. Let's go to 11. Actually, you don't even have to go to 11. Let's go to the 13th when we know he got out. This will be a better. Roaring says, wasn't there only a week left? There was only a week left. But again, I'll show you what I mean. This is the cool part of options. So let's go to not 26 Oct. That's today's date. I, again, am an idiot. So 13 June. And right now he has the 21 July. 20 calls. So let's take a look. And I'll show you why I don't think he did. Exercise. And Newton and I, we had a long debate about this because Newton also thinks that he exercised, but I think that's just because Newton doesn't fully understand options. And I think the thing Newton was doing there was pattern seeking, right? It was confirmation bias. He wanted him to exercise because of Newton's perception of what that would mean in terms of creating like another wave potentially. But I don't think mathematically it lines up. Again, just from calculating the residual basis, we already see his basis would have to be on average 2609. But more importantly, let's take a look at his options, which were the 21 Junes, and he had the 20s. So let's actually do the math here, and let's not do the lazy back of the napkin way of doing this. So right now, GameStop is trading at 28.5699. His 20 calls. He has 20 calls. Titty says, could he have rolled his options? No. He couldn't have because they would be here. So the fact that they're not here tells me he didn't roll them. Right now, his 20 calls are trading for $8.80, call it. So now if we break this intrinsic versus extrinsic value, oh, because the vol's so fucked up. I don't even know what they would have classified it as. Interesting. So it's like 23 cents, something like that. So then if we have 23 cents on, again, it wouldn't be the full, because again, we know that he didn't exercise all 120,000, right? That's, again, it's just an objective fact because he only added 4,001,000 shares. So for him to get to that, he could have done 40,010. This is what, if we take the exercise scenario, this is what he would have exercised. And the issue with this is his extrinsic value here. I'll create some labels. Intrinsic equals this minus this. So this is his intrinsic value. So this is going back to basic options. And I can zoom this in a little bit to make it easier to see. So he could have exercised up to 40,010. If he did that, this is what would have happened. He would have taken this 40,010 contracts, and then he would essentially give up $1 million. Because this is the extrinsic value that he would have given up that he otherwise could collect by selling the option and then going to the open market. So from 2 data points, I don't believe he exercised. The first one is because the basis here doesn't match up. Again, if he exercised using this 40,010, his additional basis would have had to have been 2609, and it wasn't. So that's the first part. The second part is that he would have given up $920,000. And I know that he's not in it for the money. He's not super concerned, but I also don't think he's in the business of just throwing money away, which is literally what that is. It's just throwing it away. So I think that he wanted to monetize the calls before expiration. This is one of the few instances where he actually exited relatively early. Most of the other periods he exited when the option still had like no time left. So this is why I don't think he exercised his options. And this is why I think that the math leads us towards him selling the options and then buying the shares on the market. That's what I think. Magnum says, well, he did end up giving up being a billionaire, but makes sense. Yeah, exactly. He did give up being a billionaire. That's hilarious, but it's wild that that is the case. Could you imagine being a billionaire off of GameStop stock? Like, what a story that is. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. So, I mean, that looks pretty clear to me in terms of, did he exercise or did he not? And this, to me, overwhelmingly looks like he did not. So, interesting, though. Very, very interesting. Anything else we should take a look at before we wrap up? For those that are typically in the normal live streams, I don't have any live streams slated for Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. I'm doing a little bit of travel. I need to go get my back looked at by a specialist. So I'm actually flying to Florida to go do that. So I will not be live streaming. I might live stream on Tuesday because we might wrap early enough, but I would be live streaming on East Coast hours. So I would probably be doing something at like 6 p.m. their time, which would be 3 p.m. Pacific time, something like that. So that is the near-term game plan. Now, for tomorrow, I will be doing 2 different live streams. I'm going to do a live stream again at like 15:30. That's going to be open for everybody. And that one will be like the standard market outlook that I normally would do on Monday to kind of compensate for that. And then I'll still have the Outlier Pro specific live stream at 1700 where we're going to be digging into specific trades and stuff like that. So that's the game plan. Roaring Titty says, is it for prolotherapy? I don't even know what that is. So I actually have no idea what that is. What is prolotherapy? Dunlop says, wasn't a couple mil for the bigger picture kind of thing? Was just a couple, but that's the thing, is that it wasn't really, it didn't cause like a bigger picture effect, unfortunately. So I think the Roaring Titty says traveling for healthcare sucks. We might have to take my mom to Colorado. I'm actually in the opposite camp. Like I'm choosing to. For those that are in, like, I'm going to go see Brian Carroll. He's the guy that co-authored The Gift of Injury with Stuart McGill. So I'm really fortunate in that I'm doing this. It's completely all out of pocket for me, but I'm doing it because I think that he's the right guy for me to go see and to have an assessment with and to create a game plan with. Now, for somebody like you, Roaring Titty, I feel for you there, because that does suck. Like if I had to drive 10 hours to go somewhere, that's a pain in the ass. I feel for you there. Roaring Titty says, isn't that why everyone travels for medical? Potentially. Yeah. I mean, that absolutely could be the case. I'm not sure why most people do what they got to do. They said that they got here, but I don't think they're here. All right, gang, I'm going to go link up with this DoorDash driver. I will see you guys in the Discord. Thank you for the positive energy, Vampiritus. And then I will catch you guys when I get back. Normal live schedule will resume on Thursday. Be an outlier, be an ape, be an outlier ape, whatever is most applicable. And I'll catch y'all later.